Welcome to Broker Rehab. I am one of your hosts, Courtney Twist, along with my partner in crime, Jeff Sutherland, and we are so excited to have a very special guest today, Nick Segal, who with Carolwood Estates, one of the most respected names in luxury real estate, representing some of the most high-profile properties and clients in the country. But what makes Nick different isn't just the level he operates at, it's how he thinks. Earlier in his career, he hosted Speaking Kid podcast, which focused on communication and relationships, something that still clearly shows up in how he approaches both business and life today. He's also an author and speaker known for his perspective on living and working with intention and integrity. So he's playing the highest level of business, but he's also deeply intentional about how he shows up. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. Nick, thank you so much for joining us.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me. It's always fun to listen to someone else talk about you while you're there and think, that's an interesting perspective. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Of course. How would you say the perspective is different than what you would say?
You know what? I'm so close to it. It's one of those things where, every day it's one foot in front of the other, right? And the body of work speaks for itself, ideally.
Right. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but 30 years or more in the business? Is that accurate?
35 and counting.
Kind of like Jeff. You guys are pretty similar. Not at years.
He's got a few years on me.
A few years on you. Why don't you tell our listeners where you're located and us a little bit more about you with your background?
Sure. So I'm sitting in Beverly Hills, California right now. And as you referenced, Carolwood Estates is my brokerage. I'm the managing broker, and I'm one of the three partners of the firm. We started Carolwood just over 3 years ago. We've been very fortunate. We have about 180 selling associates and about 210 with support licenses. And last year we did $4.7 billion in sales. So it's been it's been a wonderful ride, and it's a great culmination to my career. So but I've built and sold two other firms before, so I'm well versed in brokerage and the dynamics, the emotional intelligence that's needed to be part of the equation, and also the tenacity that is absolutely a requisite to be successful.
So most of our listeners for this podcast are brokers or team leads, and at least from my perspective, I'm very curious. So it's one thing running independent brokerage. Jeff and I both have ran independent brokerages. It's another, I feel like, running one of your caliber in the Beverly Hills market with that super high-end luxury clientele. Have you always done luxury, or did you break into that market? Or tell me a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, I mean, I started just over my shoulder here in West Hollywood in 1989, 1990, and I was selling $250,000 homes. So I've seen the spectrum, as it were. We've all evolved, and if you're in the business long enough, your business will naturally elevate. I always smile when someone says, I want to up level my business. I want to take it to the next level. Well, that takes time, and that's an organic process. And I think those that are most successful in it are the ones that nurture the clients that they have and follow their trajectory as they grow in their own businesses, and you become part of that lift as well.
That makes sense.
You know what's really cool about your sorry, Courtney. You know what's really cool about your background, Nick, is that I was looking at in 2012, you're the real estate agent of the year, and you spent 15 years on professional standards. So it sounds like you've always been reinvesting back into our industry to help the consumers get a better experience. Tell us about that.
Well, I think it's important that we always give back. We are blessed to do what we do. If you look at the landscape, You don't need to be a rocket scientist to be a real estate agent. I'm always amazed at how certain people can get a real estate license. And so my intention has always been to make the profession a more prestigious one, to make it more elevated, to really honor each other as human beings. It is, in many respects, the business is flawed in that we don't get paid until the deal closes, and that can cause people to act very in a myriad of ways. So the more that we can hold the line, the more that we can be accountable to ourselves first and foremost, and that extend that to our community, our real estate community, and then to the community of clients at large. I think that's very important. And so early on, I made that commitment to myself and to the industry, and it has served me very well, both from an education perspective, also a way of seeing what to do, how to then impart that to the agents that I've had the opportunity to work with, and also how I conduct myself with my clients.
I love that. I think, the world we live in right now too is so much around instant results, right? Everyone expects everything to happen instantaneously. And your brokerage is large. You have a lot of agents working for you. How do you help them with learning how to play the long game? Because I think those of us that have been in this a while, it's the long game. A lot of our newer agents might not realize that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a learning curve with this. You give an experienced broker an opportunity and you give a new broker that same opportunity, the odds of conversion are stacked to that seasoned veteran more than the young broker coming in. So the more you can look at it philosophically from the perspective of, okay, if I get an opportunity here, I realize I don't have all the answers. I need to bring someone in who can support me with that. So it starts with your brokerage choice. Who do you feel confident in that within that brokerage can support you? And if it's an agent, great, that you can co-list something with or work a buyer with, or if it's your manager or if it's your broker, make sure you surround yourself with people that inspire you first and foremost, because those are the ones whose business practices you want to emulate. And when you get opportunities, don't be penny wise and pound foolish. Bring someone in, help them build, not only watching them in that moment, that also then, two signatures on a page. Now you've got the opportunity to create business. You can then leverage every success for your growth over the course of time. And a time will come when you'll naturally drop off from having to bring someone in. But early on, don't think you're going to take these things down on your own. There's too much competition. There's too much sophistication in it. And if you don't have allies and support to help you learn, you will flounder.
Agreed.
Yeah. So don't be a lone ranger, right?
There's no right way to, it's like parenting, there's no right way to be a parent, but you can learn from experience. And if you bring the best of who you are, but I will tell you one thing, no matter how long you've been in the business, if you have no track record of sales, you certainly have life experience. And, when I've often challenged people, why should I hire you as a broker? And I get these flowery, nonsensical responses, and I'm going to work hard for you. And I'm going to get you the most amount of money in the least amount of time. That's all nonsense. It's all horseshit, candidly. Excuse my French. Who are you as a human being, and what are you going to bring to the party? And if you need reinforcements, you have the wit and the wisdom to bring those reinforcements. So wherever your inefficiencies are, you're going to have support. Literally one of the guys I work very closely with came into my office, was just talking about a property in the flats of Beverly Hills for about $20 million. And he knew he was on the outside looking in. This is a guy that did $70 million on his own last year, right? And so he brings in another one of our wonderfully seasoned veterans and says, would you go meet with this seller with me? And they went together, and now they have a very strong chance of getting it because the agent that they brought in has 2 properties in the immediate vicinity and has a track record as long as his arm in that immediate area, that enhances the credibility that goes toe to toe with anybody. So it doesn't matter how long you've been in the business, read the tea leaves, see the landscape, and use it to your advantage and bring in the resources that you have around you.
That's gold. I mean, you're basically talking about going from a scarcity mindset to more of an abundance mindset, right? Instead of just doing it on your own, you're like, hey, let's look at creative ways to bring in alliances to go out and help my value proposition.
In every form or fashion, and whether it's technology, whether it's, I mean, listen, start by knowing your contract. There's so many agents that don't even understand the leverage that's available to them in the standard, and in this case, the California Association of Realtors contract. But I see people stub their toe and fumble constantly. That it just shows their inexperience. And if you show me your inexperience, I'm going to eat you alive.
Yeah, I bet you are. Well, tell me a little bit
I
about.
have a very soft smile. It's very charming, but there, if you, I also say, if you don't have a right cross in this business, if you don't have that part of you that says, hold it, we're not doing that today,
Yeah,
you'll be walked over. So you need to have, we can be gracious, we can be loyal, we're all those things, but we also know what is that limit that is not to be crossed, ideally.
for sure. Now, so you know that limit, but I'm going to go back a little bit when you were talking about with your agents and the way that they collaborate. When it comes to hiring agents, who's your
Yeah.
avatar and how does your process look?
By reputation, first and foremost, because we are established and people come to us. Last year, well, actually over the last 24 months, we turned down in company dollar commissions easily north of $2 million. That would have gone right to our bottom line profitability because the cultural fit wasn't right. So we are steadfast in who we invite to join our company. And I would hope that everybody, any broker listening in, would really find their own North Star as to what is the tolerance level, what is the acumen that you're looking for, what is the ethos of who you are and how you're going to run your business as a team lead or as a broker, and make sure that is the filter that everyone must pass through to align with you. Because if you sacrifice culture for money, you will compromise your business, and those wheels will fall off the bus quickly.
We've seen it. All right. I mean,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I mean, I've definitely have made some mistakes in my career as a broker, and you learn that lesson the hard way. You go, okay, I will not do that again.
Well, but Courtney, you learned it in one, you're ahead of the game, right? Some people, they don't trust themselves enough, so they need to learn the same lesson again and again and again.
Mhm.
You know, when Maya Angelou says, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time.
Mm, that's so great.
That's good. I'm wondering about the prestigious people you've handled. Obviously, you have a portfolio of all these people that we probably know, the common public knows. So did you fall into that over time, or did you right out of the gates have these associations? That's the first question. And second question is, what's different when working with those people than a non-public figure?
Yeah. So no, that's again a part of we've already talked about this. The evolution of your business comes because you do a wonderful job for someone and they refer you to somebody else. And along the line, that just happens to be people that are more household names. And I've met many business managers and they handle wealthy people's money and they are their guideposts. And if you get a recommendation to a successful person, a celebrity of sorts, through that business manager, that's a very warm lead, and that must be nurtured above and beyond all else. Um, and there are just more layers of people you have to work through. That client is not going to tell you the bad news. Someone else is going to tell you the bad news. They pay someone else to tell you that. So, and it's not really up for discussion when the hammer drops. And you're dealing with an attorney, you're dealing with a business manager, you're dealing with a lot of voices, and so patience and perseverance are essential when handling someone who only hears yes in their lives.
Mhm. Okay, well, this makes me have to ask this, and feel free to not respond if you can't. But do you have any like crazy stories or anything you can spill the tea on from some sort of, you don't have to name any celebrities or anything, but I imagine you've come across some pretty cool things in your 35 years. Is there any one story that you could share that's like pretty wild?
Well, I had a story in 1991, and I'm 18 months in the business, and I was referred to someone by a very credible director, a very successful guy. And he said, this guy's coming into money and he's coming into town. And, the origin of the money may be a little shady, but he's looking to buy houses for himself and he's got an entourage. They're staying at the Four Seasons. Go take them out. And so I met with them, met them in the hotel room, and um, suddenly they wanted to go to Malibu. And this is 1991, and they wanted to buy $6 million houses and $10 million houses. And I'm buying one for him, and I'm buying one for you, and I'm buying one for you. Wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, bright and shiny Nick Segal coming out of the gate at about, I guess I was 30 years old, thinking my ship has come in a time when the market was terrible in 1991. And 3 weeks later, I realized this was all a scam. This was all just this terrible sham. He couldn't even pay for the hotel room that he was in, and then I'm whisking him off to the airport to get away from all the people that he has shortchanged. So there are many stories in the fair city. That was a learning where from that point forward, my vetting process became far more detailed.
Good call. Good call. And there's even more scams there now, and they're getting more sophisticated.
Oh my gosh. Well, with wire fraud, and yes, we need to be very diligent with all that now.
I don't know if Jeff, you have a question, but I have another one not related. Do you want to go first? I know I want to wait.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the last thing I wanted to ask you, Nick, is there's so many changes happening at a breakneck pace in our industry. And, obviously AI being at top of the list, right? What are you doing to incorporate AI? Are you incorporating AI? And what do you think is going to be the difference in the next 5 years in our industry?
Well, I think we need to look at an 18-month horizon. I think 5 years, we're all going to be getting into, cars that levitate and shoot off in 82,000 directions. No, I can't speak to that. But I think the next 18 months is what we need to look at, because that's something that's more tangible and it's more realistic. AI is going to become part of the fabric of everything that we do. These alliances that are coming forward now. Keller Williams just yesterday announced a Zillow partnership, and I haven't really read into that too terribly much yet. And then obviously the Compass Anywhere merger, and now Rocket Mortgage coming in. So we're going to have these alliances coming into play that are going to certainly impact the market. We'll see how that translates ultimately to leads for the agent. We'll see how they're going to disseminate that. I think brokerage at its core is a very personalized business. And I think that it's important that we never lose sight of that personality of our business. But I think from a technology perspective, from an efficiency perspective, also how we value homes, we're going to have more information. I mean, I've been working on a technology for about 5 years. It's now incorporated into Carolwood, and we affectionately call it Rabingi. And what it does is you type in the address, and it covers about 40% of the state of California. Where in about 7-8 seconds, you'll get not only a price, you'll get a price range, you'll get the market heat comps to tell you the story about what the trend of that immediate market is. You'll have all the comps. You can pick and choose those. And you can sit with a seller in real time or a buyer and say, well, you did your kitchen. So we've never had that ability to really sit in a room with the client and honor what they've done to their home, the square footage they've added, and in real time be able to refine your comps, refine the value. So that's something that we use effectively. We also we have at any given moment right now, I saw the stats, we have $1.7 billion of off-market inventory. in different stages of market that are going to come to market. That's all housed on everyone's phone, and you can connect your wants with the buyer needs with the inventory that we have, and then a text message goes right to both parties, the listing side and the buy side, to connect and start to create more commerce within our firm. So technology is playing a big role in everything we do. Those alliances are big, but I think AI is not intimidating if you understand, like anything, how to use it. So do start to lean into it, see how it can make you more efficient, but don't let it think that it's going to replace you. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
I agree. Well, that actually kind of leads into my maybe final question for you today. I mean, you clearly have this amazing track record of success. You've built multiple brokerages, sold them. You've built another one that is just killing it. Other than looking at, the P&L or the EBITDA and all the things that you need when you're selling, how have you differentiated your businesses, whether it's the one you're in now or previously? Like, what's your secret sauce for differentiating yourself? Because there's a lot of brokerages out there, and you clearly have set your bar high and done a really great job with your agents, your brand, your success. How are you doing that?
I think it's an internal process to begin with. It's no matter where you are with your brokerage. If you look at who your talent is, what your staff is, your location, all the dynamics, if you did your own assessment of it, and it's easier if you start from scratch, but if you got to play the hand you're dealt already, it starts with what is the internal fortitude of what you want to create moving forward from this moment forward. If you listen to this, say, I want to do that, Nick. What am I going to do? What do I need to change first? And it needs to start internally with where am I in alignment and where am I not in alignment? And I'll use the example of some years ago, literally maybe 15 years ago, I realized I was working with a host of different clients. And some of them had great personalities. Some of them were loyal. Some weren't. Some were full of nonsense. And I realized, what am I looking for? But I started with, what am I willing to give first and foremost? And I distilled it down to three qualities. And it was loyalty, graciousness, and qualification. And I am qualified. I know what I'm doing. I know how to negotiate a deal. I know the dynamics of a deal. I know the contract. So I'm a solid foundation there. I am gracious. I will be I manage my time well. If I say I'm going to be there, I'll be there. I honor people's time that way. And my personality is such that I will be gracious with you. I'm not, I have a sledgehammer if I need it. That is not my first choice. And I'm loyal to you. I'm not going to put you in a deal that doesn't make sense for you. And I'll pull you out of deals if I have your loyalty in return. And so I started asking of that of my clients. So you can do that with your brokerage too. Are the people that you have with you, are they going to meet the threshold of those qualifications, those qualities of how they demonstrate themselves in their life and what they're willing to give in order to make the brokerage better? You start pulling that together, and it may mean paring down a lot of things that are not that, and having the faith and the trust in yourself and the vision of what you want to create. But if you start playing at that level, you'll be amazed at how you start to shift the dynamic of what you're doing, and you will create an enterprise that, one, you'll be proud of, that two, that starts to be made in your image, that will then start to become profitable and more enjoyable. So that would be my encouragement for everybody.
Wow. And a lot of people just don't know what they want, right? And they've never even written it down. They're not clear on their own, right? So how can you put that out to the world if you're not clear what your heart wants?
There you go. And that's where it starts, Jeff. It starts with your heart. And, the book that I wrote took me about 4 years to write, and it took me a longer period of time of running a lot of my associates with my previous firm through an 8-week course that we created. That was The Evolution of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which is a wonderful book. And It was just a little dating, it was a little chauvinistic, wasn't really crazy about that. And so we created On Your Terms. And that's the book that I wrote. And my wife had a beautiful hand in editing that and making it fabulous, because I would just write one run-on sentence if I didn't have someone to help me with that. But it's a wonderful book, but it's about intentionality, and it's about clear intention and taking the time to be clear about what we want and then manifesting that based on that clarity.
So great. Can we find that on Amazon? Would that be the easiest place to
You,
purchase your? Okay.
you can hear my voice for 8.5 hours in the Audible book, or you can get the book. Yeah.
Well, you have a nice voice. I would listen to you on Audible.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, Nick, we appreciate you coming on here today. We now know where to get your book through Audible or Amazon. We've got your secret sauce for building up our brokerages and our organizations. Where can people find you? If they wanted to reach out or if they have clients, where's the best platform to reach out to you?
Yeah, at my email, nsegal@carolwoodre.com.
Perfect. All right.
Easy.
Well, Nick, we loved having you on. We appreciate it and definitely want to stay in touch.
Well, I appreciate you doing this, and I get a lot of these emails, and when I read your invitation, and I got the spirit behind it, so there's a reason we're all connected. So I wish you guys the best, and to those listening in, it's a wonderful business, but we have to make it a wonderful business.
Amen.
Thank you, Nick.
Yes. Thank you, Nick. We appreciate you.
All right, have a great day, everybody. Thanks, you guys.
Bye.